Nintendo has been flying high thanks to the Switch, and the breakout hit of the Nintendo Switch opened the floodgates for countless imitators. Today we'll be taking a look at the wild world of Nintendo Switch killers. It all started at CES 2020. Dell and Alienware proudly revealed their new Concept UFO prototype. The idea behind Concept UFO was to bring PC to handheld. It came in an all-white finish with a large screen on the front. For some reason, the bezel is slanted on the sides, and it had two detachable controllers that could also be put together in a grip. So for all intensive purposes, this was essentially just a PC Nintendo Switch. Funny enough, I actually made a video about the Concept UFO back when it was first announced, and oh boy did I rile up some feathers in the comments of that video. But I'm not gonna lie, as somewhat of a die-hard Nintendo fanboy, seeing the first true Nintendo Switch killer being the Concept UFO, it had me a little bit worried because from what we were seeing with the Concept UFO, it was basically a Nintendo Switch but way more powerful. So would this first PC handheld be the one to take out the Nintendo Switch? Well, after the Concept UFO was first revealed at CES 2020, we ended up never hearing about it ever again. People were waiting and waiting for more information about the UFO, but 4 years later, it seems that only CES 2020 exhibitors will be the ones to have experienced the Concept UFO. What about the Nintendo Switch killers that have actually been released publicly? Well, of course, we have to talk about the Valve Steam Deck. This, in my opinion, is when PC handheld really got started. The Steam Deck comes in many different prices ranging from $399 to $649. On the outside of the Steam Deck, you'll find L and R thumbsticks, a weirdly placed D-pad that's just kind of like off to the side, A, B, X, and Y buttons, two trackpads underneath the thumbsticks, a microphone, a 7-inch touchscreen coming in at 1280 by 800 at 60 Hz, left and right speakers, multiple sets of shoulder and back buttons, a micro SD card slot, and a USB-C port. Now on the inside of the Steam Deck, you'll find a custom AMD APU, 16GB of RAM, upgradable storage, and a 40 watt-hour battery which will last you anywhere between 2 to 8 hours of gameplay. Now I think what sets the Steam Deck apart from the more general PC handheld is that the Steam Deck runs Steam OS, which basically means that the Steam Deck, just as the name would suggest, only supports Steam games. Granted, there is a way to technically run Windows on a Steam Deck, but straight out of the box, like vanilla Steam Deck is meant to run your Steam library. And I think that makes for an interesting experience because when you have just plain old Windows running on a handheld, like that's just kind of weird. So I do somewhat appreciate that Steam OS is very controller friendly, meaning that you can easily navigate it with just the controller inputs on the Steam Deck. Now in terms of the Steam Deck being a Nintendo Switch killer, you may have noticed that one major feature is missing from the Steam Deck compared to the Nintendo Switch, and that is removable controllers. The Steam Deck is just one piece with the controller inputs on the sides of the screen. And because of that, I would consider the Steam Deck to be more comparable to the Nintendo Switch Lite. Both are heavily focused on only handheld play. Another interesting thing when comparing the Steam Deck to the Nintendo Switch is that you can actually output the Steam Deck to a TV. However, you are going to need to purchase a separate dock, like a third-party one, or there is the official Steam Deck docking station, which is $89. It connects to the Steam Deck with USB-C, it has a DisplayPort 1.4, an HDMI 2.0, a USB-C power port, a gigabit Ethernet port, and 3 USB 3.1 ports. So if you do want the Steam Deck to function just like a Nintendo Switch where you can play it handheld or on a TV, you are going to need to make that additional purchase. But one thing I will say is that I think the Steam Deck docking station offers many more ports than the Nintendo Switch one. Just to put it into perspective, the Steam Deck docking station has 3 USB 3.1 ports and a gigabit Ethernet port, while with the Nintendo Switch, we had to wait until the Nintendo Switch OLED to get a Nintendo Switch dock with an Ethernet port built into it. And even then, we had to sacrifice a USB port in order to get that Ethernet port on the Switch OLED dock. There's also the Asus ROG Ally, which is another PC handheld very similar to the Steam Deck. I actually was lucky enough to get my hands on the ROG Ally, so make sure you subscribe to hear my thoughts on how this compares to the Nintendo Switch. More recently, another Nintendo Switch killer emerged that actually is very similar to the Nintendo Switch, and that is the Lenovo Legion Go. The Legion Go comes in two different models costing either $699 or $749. It features a large 8.8-inch touchscreen at Quad HD with 144 Hz, which if I'm not mistaken makes it the highest spec'd screen on a PC handheld so far. And what makes the Legion Go so similar to the Nintendo Switch is that it actually has removable controllers just like the Joy-Con. And quite interestingly, these controllers pack in quite a few different features. They both feature Hall effect joysticks, so you most likely won't run into any joystick drift unlike the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con. The right controller has a mouse sensor on the bottom, so you can actually hold the right controller on a flat surface and use it as a mouse. Plus, the right controller also features a trackpad. Now, the Lenovo Legion Go actually runs full on just Windows 11 Home, meaning basically any PC game you download that allows for controller support will work with the Legion Go. So I do feel like the Legion Go is a pretty decent competitor to the Nintendo Switch. It is a more premium device with a higher price point, but you are able to play games on an ideally higher quality screen. The controllers detach from the device and actually have more features than the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con, like the Hall effect joysticks. And you also can output the Legion Go to a TV or monitor. However, like the Steam Deck, you are going to have to purchase a separate docking station. So with these PC handhelds, they are pretty much guaranteed to be more powerful than the Nintendo Switch, and they oftentimes come with a few more premium features than the Nintendo Switch. However, that does mean that it's going to come at a higher price than the Nintendo Switch. But something that has been happening more recently is the introduction of budget-friendly streaming handhelds. And probably the biggest name one so far is the PlayStation Portal. This comes in at $199 and features an 8-inch LCD screen up to 1080p at 60 frames per second. And so obviously the general idea of the PlayStation Portal is very similar to the Nintendo Switch. You'll be able to take all of your PlayStation home console games on the go. But here's the catch. The PlayStation Portal actually uses PlayStation Remote Play in order to get the games on the screen. This means that you are still going to need a PlayStation 5 console in order to use the PlayStation Portal. And basically all it's doing is sending out the signal from the PlayStation 5 console onto the PlayStation Portal's display. And it does this over Wi-Fi, meaning that you are going to need a decent internet connection in order to use the PlayStation Portal. I've seen people comparing the PlayStation Portal to the Wii U, but I'm not gonna lie, even as a day one Wii U fanboy, I can admit that the PlayStation Portal does have many more use cases than the Wii U. With the Wii U gamepad, if you basically left the room from the Wii U console, it would disconnect. Ideally, with the PlayStation Portal, as long as you have an internet connection, like even if you're away from your home, you will hopefully be able to play your PlayStation games on the Portal. Now, in terms of this being a Nintendo Switch killer, it's basically just a screen that connects to the internet. However, we do have quite a few games on the Nintendo Switch that are cloud games, meaning that you do have to connect to the internet in order to play those games. And hey, that sounds quite similar to the PlayStation Portal. I think if you have like a perfect Wi-Fi setup, the PlayStation Portal can be a pretty cool device to use with your PlayStation games, like just being able to play all of these high quality PlayStation games in bed or something. I think the general idea can be pretty cool. Now, another option for video game streaming handhelds is the Logitech G Cloud. This comes in at $349, meaning that it's the same price as a Nintendo Switch OLED. It features a 7-inch LCD screen up to 1080p at 60 frames per second, and just like the PlayStation Portal, it uses Remote Play in order to play these games on this handheld device. The somewhat interesting thing about the Logitech G Cloud though is that it does offer a bunch of different cloud streaming services. So you have services like Xbox Cloud Gaming, Steam Link, GeForce Now. But once again, this device pretty much has no internals for actual gaming. You're only just streaming games through the cloud onto this device. So it is just a weird anomaly of a handheld gaming system. It does mean that you are going to always have to be connected to the internet in order to play your games. But if you are connected to the internet and have a decent Wi-Fi setup, you can actually play huge games like Halo Infinite or Forza Horizon on the actual screen of the Logitech G Cloud. So with these streaming handhelds, I think they're a very weird little novelty. It's really cool to see major AAA games running on a handheld, but it does come with a catch where you have to be connected to the internet in order to stream these games onto the device. And even with the complete closure of Google Stadia, which also offered video game streaming, I'm interested to see the longevity of these streaming handhelds. But with smartphones becoming more and more powerful, I think they can also be a very viable option for handheld gaming. Pair that with something like the Backbone 1 mobile controller, and you have a solid portable gaming machine. If you want to learn more about the Backbone smartphone controller, make sure you check out my video below. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any of these Nintendo Switch killers. For now, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all of our members. My name is Chase, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.